Welcome to Entreprogrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, with your hosts, Josh Earl, Derick Bailey, and John Sonmez, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
The Entreprogrammers Podcast is brought to you by signalleap.com. It's not just the best audio host for your podcast, it's also the only podcast host that we'll talk about during the Entreprogrammers Podcast. Because SignalLeaf is one of the services that I'm building and often used as fodder for information that we talk about during the Entreprogrammers Podcast. So check it out at signalleaf.com. It's podcast hosting without the headaches.
Yeah, grumbling about iPhone development.
Well,
I just that are going to be listening to this podcast that are in India saying, you're making 10 times the salary I make, and you're...
Yeah, I don't have a lot to complain about.
Yeah, I just actually got back from the Verizon store with my dad, bought him an iPhone 5C. He upgraded from his Crackberry that was like... It was It was a 3-year-old phone when he bought it 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have to say, I had Blackberries and I do miss that keyboard. That was amazing.
Yeah.
But the reason I switched is because I realized I do mostly content consumption.
Right.
Yeah.
But I could type 30 plus words a minute on that keyboard with no problem.
Yeah.
I've got like the one of the swipe keyboards. It's not swipe on my Android phone, but I've got the I forget what it's called. It's like it's like Wii or something, Wii key or let me see what it is.
Yeah, I use swipe and I really like it.
John's an Android user. He didn't spring for the $2.99 or whatever it costs.
Well, I'm an Android user as well. I've got my Droid Mini. And I love my Droid Mini, but let me say, as an Android user, I more often than not recommend iPhones to my family members.
Yeah.
Not because iPhones are better, but because the support channels for the iPhone are more numerous. There's 1,000 people that can help you with your iPhone, and there's 10 people that can help you with your Android.
Yep. Yeah. Mine is the keyboard KII.
Okay.
It basically like does all the things that you can switch it to all kinds of modes, and it works like swipe, but it's still like I don't know. I like use the swipe mode on it, and it's still really it's a pain. I don't like.
I really like swipe. I've been using swipe since it started its public beta 3 or 4 years ago, and I won't use anything else. I can't stand other keyboards. It's like me with Vim. I can use other keyboards. I can use other editors, but if I'm not in Vim, I'm unhappy.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's going on? Who's got the drama this week? Is it my turn to be all?
Well, my drama this week is just being sick all week. It's been awful. Yeah. But I'm up to 307 active subscribers right now. I've had 3 cancellations and 1 that expired, which I don't know how that happened. I haven't been out for more than a month.
Wow.
But,
maybe his credit card expired. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be. I don't know. I'll have to contact the maker of restrict content and ask him what expired means.
This is going to be interesting because the editor's going to listen to our conversation about the hiring him.
Yes.
So I got a guy. His name is, I believe it's David Boyington. He's like I found him on Odesk, and he charges $11 an hour.
Okay.
So I think that's a pretty solid rate. Like there were some $5 an hour options and stuff, but this guy is in the U.S.
Oh, nice.
He looks like he's got about 20 years radio experience. So, and this is what he does. So, I mean, we're kind of going to be wasting his talents to some degree because I wasn't going to have him edit the whole thing. I was just going to have him take out just certain because I don't know if we want to pay him to listen to an hour and a half podcast and edit it.
Yeah, I still think we should take these hour-and-a-half epic things and turn them into multiple episodes for the week. Like give people 30 minutes a day for 3 days a week or something like that.
I sup. Okay. Well, let's. Yeah. The only problem with that is that it's going to be a lot more work, right? Because then it's like 3 times the work. You're splitting the thing. You're doing the uploads 3 times. You're doing the.
I mean, the editing. If he's going to be editing an hour and a half of content, it's going to be editing an hour and a half of content. It wouldn't take that much additional work to split it into multiple episodes and upload. I mean, it will be extra work, but I can't imagine that it would be an extra hour.
Well, it's not that, right? The editing part, and I was, I mean, well, okay, so I mean, this is definitely worth talking about. So, what I had intended was, I don't know if did you take a look at my little spreadsheet that had the.
I haven't. I've been mostly sick and out of town this week for doctor appointments.
All right, so let me go over that real quick here. Okay, so basically, the steps are like this. Step 1, get the episode from the Dropbox. It's an MP4 that I'll drop in there. 2 is edit the episode. So what I had asked him to do was just to find a clean beginning point,
right?
And then just remove any edit points, but not to go through listen to the whole podcast and
okay,
and edit it, since we're pretty much keeping it raw anyway,
sure,
right?
Sure.
So that was kind of my plan there. So that would cut down a lot on the time. But then then the next step is rendering video. So at 480p resolution, because I'm assuming that you're editing it as video at that point. Probably takes a little bit of time to render, but that's a background process. Then render the audio as an MP3 version, and then add the ID3 tags to the audio for the MP3. Then upload audio to Signal Leaf. Then upload the video to YouTube. I've created a YouTube channel for us, Entreprogrammers. And then the last one is to post a podcast to the Entreprogrammers blog, which basically involves, going in there, creating a new post, putting in any kind of show notes in there, and then putting in the podcast link, filling out all that information, putting in a link from the YouTube for the video, and scheduling it. So really, the like if we split into 3 episodes or even 2 episodes, the kind of steps of those.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. Where that would be adding in a lot of extra work up front for additional editing, getting through the entire episode, and then it branches from there and repeats a lot of those steps multiple times.
Yeah, and this isn't a profit-making venture right now. So I mean, it's totally up to you guys. Like, what I figured for what I have right now, these steps, because I just went through the process myself, and it took me maybe about an hour to do this, like to an hour and a half. So I figure that we're looking at probably 2 hours a week right now with these steps. So 2 hours a week, $11 an hour, $22 a week, so 40, 60, 80, say $90 a month divided by 3, so $30 a month from each of us.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how comfortable you guys are going up, but I would assume that if we broke it into 3 episodes, it would probably be double. I would imagine it'd be 4 hours a week worth of work, so we'd be looking at $60 a month from each of us. Which I mean, I'm not totally opposed to paying that amount, but I didn't want to just.
Right. No, I see your points there. I definitely like the lower price tag to start with. We can always add on and split things apart later. It'd be easier to have him do more later than to have him do less later.
Yeah. Okay. So kind of my thinking with that was, I was just going to start him out and just say, look, here's the steps. Like, take this, run with this 1 episode a week. We got to decide what day we're going to publish it on. I figured Mondays.
Right.
So So if we said Monday, you always schedule it for the next Monday. And then I was going to tell them, okay, when you go through these steps and stuff, if you see stuff that doesn't make sense or stuff where you can add value or, different things that and then we can maybe, after he's been doing this for a while, we could run it by him and say, well, what do you think it would take you to split it into 3, per, how much more time or how much more work? And I think we'd have a better idea, but.
That seems reasonable. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay, so it'll be kind of long episodes, but I mean, I don't know, that crazy show, that crazy podcast that you advertise on that was about some cartoon anime manga show.
Yeah.
It was like 3 hours or
3 hours per episode. Holy cow.
Yes.
And that was just talking about that one anime.
It'd be nice to have it'd be nice to have figurines sitting around my room and masturbating all day and watching anime and not working. Just recording a podcast for 3 hours.
Right.
No offense to those guys. I'm just stereotyping the whole crowd. Oh, and practicing my kung fu a little bit.
Yes, kung fu.
So.
All right, so I just now, while we were talking about that, set up the Signal Leaf account for this podcast.
Okay,
so I've got the email address. It's podcast@entreprogrammers.com, which is also the login for the Signal Leaf account, and I'll send you guys the password later. Let me read you the random password I generated on the podcast so that anybody listening will be able to log in.
That's like crowdsourcing, right?
Exactly. Crowdsource the podcast. Let anybody upload whatever episode they want.
Let me tell him. Hold on. He just emailed me. I just want to tell him don't start yet because he said he'll likely have it finished today. Already have episode 1 done.
I'd say just let him run, man. Why not start yet?
Well, I've got episode 1. I've got to drop episode 2 in there, and he needs the Signal Leaf account stuff. But okay. I mean, I went through the whole process myself to make sure that it's not. So
sure.
This guy seems pretty dang competent. I think.
Right.
That's funny. No, this guy doesn't seem competent. Hey, buddy, how's it going? He's from India, and he's
hey, dude, that's editing our podcast.
He's the lowest bidder. No. No, he
never talk smack about your podcast.
Editor.
No, he seemed really that was one of the I had a whole bunch of applicants for it, all
right.
Really good qualified people around the same rate. And I was like, yeah, this guy seems the most Plus, he said he had experience producing a lot of podcasts, and he knows he can submit the podcast to hundreds of directories.
Oh, nice.
So we can probably have him do that as well, which would be good. So I think it'll actually be a good connection for us to have. That we might be able to employ him on some other projects.
Yeah, he sounds like somebody I need to get into a resources list on Signal Leaf, which is something that I've been needing to do for a while. Yeah. I have a lot of people asking me, hey, where can I get this? Hey, where can I get that? And I would like to get, Mandy Moore and some of the other people that I've used and talked with listed on resource page, and it sounds like this guy would be good on that page too.
Cool. So one last thing about the podcast. I've got episode 1 up on the site. I need to switch it over to the actual Signal Leaf account that you've created because I just created a dummy one, but aside from that, we'll essentially have episode 1 up there, but it's not promoted or it's not in the iTunes. So we got to figure out what our launch is and how we're dealing with this is episode 9, I think. So I was going to let him tackle the whole backlog, right? Sure. And just say, okay, let's put them all up. But when should I tell him to schedule them? Should I have him schedule one every single day? Should we start doing 2 a week or 3 a week until we get caught up, or should we launch with the whole backlog?
Yeah, I'd say launch with the entire backlog. I think I've read some stories about people doing exactly that, where they record a whole bunch of them. There's two things I've heard about. People record a whole bunch of episodes up front. Mm-hmm. That's a common thing to do. And then one of two things. They either release weekly from that point on, and they just keep it as a backlog of episodes that are ready to go, which is what I'm doing with Watch Me Code. Or what I've also heard is people record, edit, and publish all of their backlog right away, and then do it live from that point forward. And the benefit of doing that is you get a lot of people there for the launch, and you have a lot of content for people to listen to right away. And by the time they get past the first few episodes, you're already putting new content in the pipeline, and it gets people coming back to you sooner and more often, and getting you into their routine in a lot faster, so that you gain more listeners and more of a following faster.
Okay.
So I like that idea personally. I think we should launch all of the backlog all at once, and use that as the place to start.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I think that makes sense, because it is better to be kind of live with these, like, so that we're not. I mean, This is one of those things we don't want to be too behind. It's like Get Up and Code. I can record in advance. It makes sense because. But here, there's like a serious. We're always talking about stuff we're working on now that people want to check out.
And if you get too far out of date, then it gets a little confusing, and it just gets awkward answering questions about what I was working on 3 months ago.
Okay, and plus it'll be an easy launch for us. None of us have the bandwidth to like do something more complicated. So
right.
Okay, so here's what I'll do then. I'm going to tell them. Go ahead. I'm just going to start dropping all the things in the Dropbox. Have them just go up to the current episode. Have him put it all online, and then when he's done doing it, then we'll talk about. Then the next week, all three of us will blog posts about this thing and promote the hell out of it, and then we'll pick an exact day that it's the official launch day.
Right.
Okay. Cool. It's gonna happen.
Finally.
All right. So what else is going on, guys?
Well, I got my first official sponsorship, like actual sponsorship for Watch Me Code out yesterday on the Web Tools Weekly. So if anybody listening here is interested in Watch Me Code, so it's issue 40 of Web Tools Weekly. I got my ad, which I based the ad on my Twitter headline tests. So I took the two most popular Twitter headlines and put them together as the text for the ad, and then gave my discount code for Web Tools Weekly. And I had, I think, 4 people sign up using that discount code yesterday.
Nice.
So I honestly, if I want to break even with the cost, I need like 20 people signed up. But I'm happy having 4 because it's proving that the sponsorship model with the discount code will work for me. You know, the Web Tools Weekly might not be the best audience for me to sponsor, but it was cheap, relatively speaking, and it was a good first test for a sponsorship to see how well a sponsorship message and discount code for a sponsorship will work.
Was that a 1 week thing, or?
Yeah, it was just a 1 week thing, and I have options with him to do more. This it was interesting talking with him about this because he makes more money off of his ads than he does off of the sponsorships. So when he doesn't have a sponsor paying for an episode, he just puts in ads from some ad network. I can't remember what it is, and he makes more money off of that than he does off of people paying for sponsorships.
Really? That's weird.
Yeah,
like pay-per-click ads?
Right.
Okay.
Which is really odd, I thought. I mean, I think he should be charging more for his sponsorships then. That's my opinion, but it was really cool working with the guy though. He's super duper nice and really easy to work with, and we bounced a lot of ideas back and forth. So it was good to work out some of those things and some of my ideas and whatnot and get that done.
And this is Charles Woods?
No. This is the Web Tools Weekly email newsletter.
Oh, email. This is what's his name?
Louis something. Can't remember his last name.
Oh, okay. I don't even know. Okay.
No, the JS Weekly, that's Peter Cooper, and that was just a normal link. He gave me a link in the episode or in the issue, the email newsletter.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
that wasn't a sponsorship one. That was just a, hey, I like your video blog post here. Let me put a link to it, which is awesome.
Cool. I had some promotion on. Well, I made a mistake actually. So I had my How to Market Yourself as a Software Developer. I recorded that episode of Polymorphic Podcast, Craig Shoemaker's.
Yeah, which I thought was a great episode, by the way. I listened to that a couple days ago.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I thought it came out well, except I was breathing into the mic a little. But
yeah, I noticed that a couple of times, but it was like, okay, there's John breathing, and it only happened 2 or 3 times. It was fine.
But I did make a key mistake with that, which is then this is something to learn, and I made the same mistake on .NET Rocks. It's going to happen, but it won't be as big of a mistake. But
okay.
What I did with that podcast is I said I'll give away 3 copies of the course if you comment on the blog saying like how you'd use the course. Well, after it was released, it occurred to me pretty quickly that that was not the thing to give away, because what's going to happen is one of two things, right? So if I'm giving away, if I say if you comment on the blog, I'm going to give you away the course, right? So now you're listening to the show, and you're like, oh, I want to get this course. So do you go and buy the course? No. You go and you comment on the blog. You say, well, why would I buy it if I might be able to get it free?
Yeah.
Right. Let me see if I win first. And the moment of action is right when you hear something. So that's mistake number 1. So I quickly tried to rectify that by saying, okay, I left a comment immediately. I said, hey, if you buy the course and you happen to win here, right? I'll give you a refund plus a bonus,
Right.
And the bonus is that I'll give some personal guidance, like I'll give you some additional one-on-one work, which I haven't revealed the bonus, but so that kind of. But then there's a problem with that, which is that there's like 4 or 5 comments on the blog post.
Yep.
And there's 2 people that have bought the course from the thing.
Yep.
So at least one of them is. The chances are I'm going to net nothing. I'll just end up giving away the course.
You're going to give somebody a refund because they commented and there weren't enough comments to.
Exactly. If there was like 100 comments on there, even still, it was not if this is what it now in hindsight, just so you guys can learn from my mistake. If you promote something on a podcast, right, and something that you're trying to sell, make your giveaway be related to it, but not it.
Not it.
Make it be something else, something exclusive or bonus, or you know what I mean, or whatever it is. Even if I would have just said I'll give you $50, that would have been better, right, than this, because it just creates. I think I've created, like, I only made 2 sales that use the discount code from the podcast, which I think he's got probably like 2,000 or 3,000 listeners. Maybe it's less. Maybe it's maybe that's. But based on the comments, maybe it is less. But
right.
I think I created some confusion in the mind of the listener of like, should I buy this course or should I try and do the thing or like?
That's. You reminded me of John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur on Fire does exactly what you just suggested. He's got his Podcaster's Paradise class, which is an expensive class to attend. When he goes on interviews for other people's podcasts, what he does is he sets up eofire.com/whatever.
Yeah.
And the /whatever is the name of the podcast that he is on. And he'll say that URL multiple times during the interview that he's doing for someone else's podcast, and say, go to this address, and I'll give you for free my guide to starting your podcast, which it's a phenomenal guide. It has a lot of really good information in it. But at the end of that book, of course, he's pitching his Podcaster's Paradise class, which is, again, a phenomenal class from everything that I've read and heard about it, and well worth the money. But it's exactly what you just suggested. He's not giving away his class. He's giving away great information on how to get started with your podcast and what equipment you need and things like that.
Right.
And then that giveaway has information on how to get additional services from him.
Exactly.
Having that kind of giveaway probably a really effective thing to do based on him being so successful with it.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, he's not holding a competition to give
Right.
away but still, either it needs to be like you said, like how he does it, like just a pamphlet that or something that everyone gets as a bonus, or a prize that's related to your thing but not your thing, so that there's not a conflict of should I apply for the thing or should I buy the thing. I did the same thing on .NET Rocks, which hasn't aired yet, so it's kind of too late to fix that mistake. But that one, it won't be as bad because it's a huge audience. It's going to be a lot of comments, right? So the chances of the overlap are going to be less. And so
and .NET Rocks does a giveaway for their commenters on a regular basis. Like every episode, they read a comment from somebody from the previous episode, and that person gets some DNR stuff like a mug or a mouse pad or something. I don't remember what.
Yeah.
So that's that audience is used to commenting on an episode in order to get something out of it. So I think you're going to be better off on the DNR show with your current giveaway than you were with the Polymorphic podcast.
Yep. But hey, it's a learning. It's like I loved your email that went out today. I have no idea what this week.
No
I have
idea
no idea what I'm doing.
No, I've received so many positive comments from that email. Just again this morning, some guy replied to it and said, "Thank you so much for this. I was really feeling down this week for some bug that I wrote and released to production that caused all kinds of problems, and I'm realizing again through your email that it's a learning experience, and we do better next time."
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really cool to get responses from people like that. Where I mean, I still get really nervous about sending those weekly emails. I mean, I've got like 8 of them scheduled out for the next 2 months already, and a whole bunch more that I want to write, and it makes me nauseous every time I write one because I think, is this really worth anything? Is anybody really going to respond to this? And then every now and then I get one that 10 or 15 people respond to and say thank you, and that totally makes it worth it.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, that's such a good thing to remember. Like
because ultimately none of us know what we're doing. We're all making it up as we go and hoping we get it right. The key is not knowing what you're doing, but being able to recover quickly when you mess up.
And that's the biggest thing actually that I got from that Psycho-Cybernetics book. I think Josh will probably agree with this. Was that like your mind is a goal achieving machine. Like you set the target, and your brain is like it's like a machine that hones in on that course corrects and finds the way. So you don't have to know what you're doing. You just have to know what you're trying to do,
what you're trying to get to,
and you'll get there. Like you're gonna veer off and go the wrong direction, whatever, and stuff. And it's like, but then you're eventually you cannot help but succeed because your brain, we're such complex machines that we achieve our goals. We're goal seeking. That our whole job of our brain is to get us to the success, to get us to the goal. But most people give up because they're like, because they failed, because it doesn't, because they didn't hit it out of the park on the first try. So.
Yep. So.
I actually am meeting with, or I'm assuming I'm going to meet with the president of Psycho-Cybernetics. He lives 2.1 miles away from me.
Nice.
Has he replied to your email yet?
Not yet, but I will be continuing to email him if he doesn't.
Yeah, Derick,
this guy's... don't get put into the stalker bucket.
I may just knock on his door.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should just alter your run route, to go by his house every day. And carry a copy of the book as you jog by his house.
I'm not afraid to go knock on the door, to be honest with you. Like I'll email him a bunch of times because persistence pays off. Like and anyone who
shot.
We'll get you a restraining order.
Anyone like that knows that persistence pays off. And hell, I mean, I get 100 emails a day, and a ton of them from my contact me on my blog, and I have to ignore some of them, but sometimes there's some real persistent jerkwad that just like keeps on, and I'm like, fine, all right, let's talk on Skype, right? But it works. It does work. It really does. Even if they do a poor job of it with bad manners and whatnot, if they're just dang persistent, So
Yeah, that would be very cool. I'm hoping that you can get in touch with him.
yeah,
That would be cool.
yeah, that'd be good to just a great connection to have. Just to like, especially I think it would help all of us if I can ask him some because he's been doing the marketing side of the and the email newsletter all that for a long time.
Long time.
So.
Yeah, Derek, did John send that to you too? That's Matt Fury. That's the I mentioned him last week. He's one of the two people that does kind of the daily email thing that I've been watching.
Okay.
So I forwarded this one to John, and it was pretty good. It was like a long story, and it pitched his cybernetics project. He's got like a product where he it's sort of expounds on some of the stuff in psychocybernetics and gives you exercises.
Nice.
And so it transitions really nicely into the product pitch. So I sent it to John, and then John looked him up, and he's like, "Oh,
nice."
Yeah,
he's like literally across the street,
yeah.
like 2 miles away. It's crazy. I was like, what?
Nice. So how's Josh doing? You had some kind of epic emails this last week.
Yeah. I'm doing pretty well. Actually, doing better. I was a little frustrated
now that you ranted a little.
Yeah, I was a little frustrated earlier this week, but I spent some time thinking about kind of like where what my long-term goal is, and got some good clarity. So I'm pretty much, I mean, every time I do this, like I go off and I get really frustrated, and then I end up back where I started. But usually it's like I'm back where I started plus an extra 10% of clarity or a little extra direction, or a little extra certainty. So it's never a complete waste of time. But yeah, I'm pretty much just going to I'm gonna the Sublime stuff. I'm gonna keep plowing ahead with that. I realize that like I keep getting tempted to go off on other short-term kind of audiences that I really don't want to have long-term. Like the Sublime stuff is great, and long-term I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I'll probably get it to a point and then I'll be done with it. So I realize that a lot of the things that keep popping up on my radar are basically the same thing, where it's like a short-term, quick thing that would make me some extra money now, and I might be able to make more money with it than I would with Sublime, but it's not long-term. Like it's not something that I'd really want to do long-term. So I've been thinking about like I've been tempted to like look into other niches. Like I'm into photography, so I could and photography is a huge niche. It'd be really easy to build a niche site, monetize it, advertise on Facebook. Photography apparently does really well on Facebook. So
any of the social media networks that they make photos a large part of it. So Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest.
Yeah, so like that. So that's sort of tempting. So earlier this week, I told you guys I got that email from the guy who was disappointed with my plugins book. Right. And I figured out. I haven't replied to him yet, but I figured out exactly how I'm going to handle it.
Okay.
So I'm actually gonna. So one thing I love. So this guy Ben Settle that I've been following. He's the email marketing guy. He has a saying that nothing bad ever happens to an email marketer. So, and the point there is that you can take anything and turn it into a story.
I see.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably refund this guy his money, all of it. He bought both books. I'm going to refund him his money, and I'm going to thank him for his feedback because he's in the publishing industry, and he's been like a book editor for like 25 years, so his standards are probably pretty high.
He is definitely not your audience.
Yeah, he's definitely not my audience. Well, and here's the thing. I need to go double check this, but on the sales page, I think I qualify like, hey, this is for beginners who've never written a plugin, this guy had already started hacking on a plugin already.
Right.
And so he had some knowledge of how the things worked.
Right.
So he's not a Python guy, but he has some knowledge of Sublime plugins. So for him, it probably I would argue that there probably was stuff in there that would be beneficial. Like some of the debugging stuff that I had in there was pretty helpful, and I spent probably somewhere between 60 and 90 hours hacking on that stupid plugin I used for the example to learn all that stuff. So I figure, I think it could save almost anybody some time. But that notwithstanding, I'm just going to refund the guy his money.
Yep.
Thank him for his feedback. And then I'm going to email my list with his feedback. Only, strip out any identifying information. Say, I got this feedback this week from a reader. Here's why you shouldn't buy my book, and kind of say, if you've already done this, it's probably not for you. But if you've never done it before and you want to try it, this will help you get started.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to link to my book, and then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to email my joshuaearl.com list, which has been dormant, but I'm going to start emailing them as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to email them with the story about how I got this feedback and how I handled it.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Nice.
so I'll get 2 wins from it.
Right.
And make sure you put his address, his mailing address.
Yeah.
Here's a picture of his
2.1
dog.
miles from John.
Yeah. Look at this stupid looking dog this guy has. Look at it. Stupid dog. And his kids aren't really that cute either.
Yeah, so that's how I'm going to handle that. I'm glad I waited and didn't reply to him, because I felt really bad after I got that feedback. So I got that feedback after I sent out. So earlier in the week on Monday, so last weekend I felt really brave, and I was feeling better about my sales because things had kind of picked up a little bit. So I wrote the email to my list about how, this is the first time I'd ever done anything personal with my list. So I emailed the Sublime list and said, hey, I've been kind of bummed out because my sales have kind of dried up lately, but you guys have been very encouraging, and I appreciate it. Because people are constantly emailing me and contacting me on Twitter and telling me thanks for what I'm doing. So I wanted to say thank you. So I felt pretty good when I wrote that email. Then I was like sick about it on Monday before it went out. I almost canceled it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is really, people are just going to hate this. Like, this is really, felt like I was being vulnerable, and I wasn't sure how people were going to respond. So then the first email I got after that went out was from this guy.
No.
Like, I know why your sales dried up. Your book sucked. Yeah. I mean, he said it nicer than that, and it was good feedback. But that was the message, essentially. It's like, I didn't find this book helpful. I think you're not getting word of mouth sales, so that might be the problem. Kind of
Word
thing.
of mouth sales are not how you get sales. That's like word of mouth is like a sale a month.
Right.
This guy wasn't a technical writer with a PhD, was he?
Yeah, I don't know.
He probably was.
Well, watch out for those.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, word of mouth. If anybody out there thinks that they are going to make thousands of dollars from word of mouth sales, they're an idiot. Word of mouth is not how you make sales. You don't get rich from word of mouth sales. You get word of mouth sales because you got rich.
You make sales because you're persistent.
Exactly.
Because you're persistent. Because
persistent.
Every single sales book you ever read only really says one thing: keep asking for the sale.
Yes.
That's all. That's it.
Exactly.
That's the sum of the thing. Is the most ballsy salesperson gets the sale.
Right.
That's it.
So my dad is in town. I was helping him get his iPhone earlier today, and we were talking about exactly that yesterday. And he said the 3 rules of marketing are: make it personal, make it simple. I can't remember the third one, but it was basically
make it memorable.
The things that we talk about all the time, which included persistence, just constantly in front of people, constantly be asking. To quote, what is it, Glenn Ross or something? Always be closing, ABC.
Yeah. I actually started. I sent you guys the email, but I emailed 4 people on my list, and I'm just going to pick out more. I haven't gotten a response from them yet, but I'm going to keep on emailing those 4, and I'm going to try it until I start selling by emailing people personally. And I'm going to send them I'm going to get a minimum of 8 no's from them before I move on. And you know what? I don't know. We'll see where the experiment goes, but I feel like it's a good learning experience, because either I'm going to close these things and then I'm going to have a repeatable method that I can use, and that's my autoresponder sequence right there. And it might be like a choose your own adventure type of thing, but because there might be different branches, but or I'm going to just learn how to sell, or I'm going to find out what's not working. I don't know. I feel like that's the path that I have to go down to be to be willing to do this. I'm also going to see where people's tolerance limits are, and I'm experimenting with, and it seems kind of crazy, but I've got my list has 3,600, 3,700 people on it. Mm-hmm. If I piss off 4 people, which I'm not necessarily going to piss them off, by the way, but let's say that I piss off 4 people and they're like, I don't even want to hear from you again. Fine, and not that I want to just be annoying to people, but
right.
It's a worthwhile sacrifice to make to learn this information.
Yeah. Yeah, that when you sent that out, I was like, oh man, I would not be comfortable doing that, which is probably a sign that I need to do something similar.
Right.
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen? They can say, "Oh, jackass, stop emailing me."
Yeah.
That you can say, "Well, I'll
put you on my mailing list instead."
Yeah. This isn't a mailing list, but I'll email you again next week. See how you feel.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. But I think that it could be really interesting because if it is super successful, like I said, that's going to be an autoresponder sequence, and it kind of tells you, tells you where the limits are and what's required. And I'm going to kind of track it and see, because if it's on average it takes 6 or 7 emails of me asking for a sale directly from a person for them to buy, but then they do.
Right.
That's some pretty dang good information to know. Because you might give up at 2 or 3. So
yeah. No, I had one response to my I have no idea what I'm doing this week was rather in depth. A person that's he either said he's been doing this for 52 years or he is 52 years old. I can't remember which. But somebody that has a lot of experience in a lot of industries, including marketing. Just flat out said, get your Watch Me Code link back into your emails and make sure it's always there.
Yeah.
He's basically saying persistence, always be selling. Just get it, keep it in front of people's eyes, whether it's a PS or you can integrate it into the actual message, just keep it in front of people and it will continue to make sales, to make subscribers off of my existing list. I have 1,400 people on my list and I only got 300 subscribers, 292 subscribers. Actually, I'd probably say 250 subscribers out of that list because I know I got people from Twitter and whatnot too.
Right.
There are a lot of people that are potentially interested in signing up. They just haven't yet.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So this week I did 3 emails to my list, and I had a link to my book link to one of my books in every email.
Right.
And then next week, I'm doing 5.
Yeah.
So I did an interesting experiment this week. I did the Twitter. So I tried the Twitter promoted accounts ads.
Mm-hmm. Oh right. Yeah.
And, yeah. So that ended up. I want to talk to the Twitter account rep because it was very strange what happened. So it started off when I first started the ads. I was paying 10 cents a follow.
Yeah.
And then that was targeting in the U.S., so those were really good quality leads. And then it kept going up. Usually with the tweets, the promoted tweets, the price goes down, but it kept going up slowly. And it got to the point where, so then I followed the recommendations and I dropped some of the higher volume, lower interaction accounts like Wired magazine, which they recommended to me.
Yeah.
I removed those, and it continued to climb until I was paying almost 50 cents a follow.
How long of a period of time was this?
About a week.
That's
it was
part
of it. 5 days.
The older the tweet is, the more expensive it will be for per engagement.
Well, but
this is a promoted account though.
Yeah, this is a promoted account. Yeah, and
that's different.
there are tweets associated with it,
right.
but when I sorted the accounts by it, I had 40 accounts on there, 40 Twitter handles that I was targeting, And I sorted them by interaction, like, so I could see where I was getting most of my follows from. And there was no correlation between that and the price I was paying. Like, actually, some of the ones that were where I was getting more follows, I was paying more per
Right.
click.
Right.
Which, like for Sublime, like Sublime HQ was one of my most expensive Twitter handles for some reason. And I was, I was paying I was paying 50 cents to $1 per follower, which is just not.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to pay if I could get followers for about 10 cents a tweet or 10 cents a follow, that's worth it to me because I can convert 10-20% of those to email subscribers, and then I'm paying $1 for an email subscriber. But 50 cents each is not worth it. So I'm a little bummed by that. I hope, if I was like some huge brand, it might be worth it, but.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I know what happened. Well, I noticed the same thing this week, and I actually killed my Twitter ads because the cost per click was going up. I mean, it's all, remember, I mean, we don't see this, but because we automatically put the bid prices in there, like we let them, like you could manually put the bids in, but my guess would be that some big advertising was going on Twitter this week, especially around Wednesday. Wednesday, Thursday, and that was filling up a lot of the because it's a competing market of space, right? So many people want to advertise. There's a limited number of, and so that's how the bid system works. So I'm guessing that around technology, around software development, maybe some big players where, in fact, if you probably look at your Twitter feed, you could probably guess who they are because you probably got some exposure to something that was either launching or. But that's what my guess is because I noticed the same thing happening and it was ridiculous. It wasn't related to engagement rate because I had some highly engaging, does your software development job suck balls? Had like 4% engagement rate, and I was paying a lot. I just killed my Twitter actually now after because I'm so sick of this crap because it's such crap traffic. It is just the crappiest crap. I'm targeting US right now, and I'm getting I'm paying $12 for an email sign up. It's ridiculous.
That's not. So here's the thing, though. For me, Twitter has been phenomenal. I basically have built what I have off of Twitter, and I really would love to find a way to scale it, and I just can't. So I do my tweets every week. So I queue up 30 tweets, and I get a very steady number of new followers from that. And if you look at the line, I get a graph every week in the email, and it looks like it's a 30-degree line straight up. But I'd love to accelerate that curve a little bit. But what I'm trying to do is trying to make better use of the followers that I have. So I've got about 11,500 followers right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And every time I tweet anything from my blog, I get basically 200 hits off of that, and X number of email signups. My pop-up is converting right now around 4% off of since I bumped my traffic up. No, I'm sorry, it's converting at 6%. So
that's pretty dang good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. So what I'm going to do now that I'm doing these daily emails, I'm going to publish them on my blog every day at 2 p.m. after they go out in the email. And then I have it set up to automatically tweet off of the RSS. So every day I'll be driving 200 visits a day, 200 plus visits a day to my blog, and hopefully that will help accelerate my mailing list signups since I'm doing it every stinking day.
Right.
So that's basically. I can't think of a way right now to do a better job of getting new followers other than the follow unfollow thing.
Do it.
That's how I got. I got my first 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers that way, or followers that way. But I also got my Twitter account locked a couple of times, and if they lock it again, my traffic's. They know I have.
A history, yeah.
They don't approve of in the past, so I'm afraid if they lock it again, they'll just be like, and they can do that. They can just say, nope, we're not giving it back to you.
Yeah.
And then I'm screwed, because that's for me. If I tweet something every day, that's an easy 1,000 hits a week.
Yeah.
Of traffic, plus it'll probably grow as I get more content out there. So I'm very hesitant to do that.
See, I've been following 200 people every day and then unfollowing 200 people the same day.
Right.
Every morning, it takes me about 15 minutes using that tweet adder. And my criteria for following people is I look for popular accounts, and then I filter it down to like people that have 400 or more followers, like from that account, and then are English and have tweeted in the last 3 days, because I want the most active people that have the most influence. And I've been having pretty good success with that, growing about maybe 50 followers a day, doing that. So
50 a day.
And I haven't gotten any warnings.
Yeah, I might have to think about that again.
With Watch Me Code, I go to the big screencast accounts like Pluralsight and Ruby Tapas and NS Screencast, and I follow everybody that they follow, and then follow people that follow them. So I've followed in the last week 1,200 people, and I've gained 300 subscribers, 300 followers on Twitter. So it's me targeting who I follow based on similar accounts and similar services, and it's doing really well for me. I mean, I'm not at the 11 grand of followers that you are, so it's a little easier for me to do that at this point than it would be for you, because you've already got this giant list. But I think you can safely follow and unfollow a certain number of people every day or every week or whatever without drawing attention to yourself, because that's just a natural part of Twitter. It's when you do it excessively that they start flagging it. It's when you're not interacting with people. It's when you're only, I think they also look at which apps you're using to do the follows and unfollows in order to see if it's a bot or software or whatever. I'm doing it all through the official Twitter app on my Android.
Right.
So it's like, okay, this guy is legitimately going through and clicking these things. That's fine.
I'm using TweetAdder, and I haven't had any problem. I'm doing 200, like I said, each day. Sometimes I do more. But I haven't had one warning or anything. But my account's active, like tweeting out things and stuff too. So I think that might...
Which I think is an important aspect of this. Not just tweeting things. I mean, spam bots tweet things. But actually engaging people tweeting at you. And I tweet a lot of stuff from Derick Bailey at Watch Me Code, and people reply at Watch Me Code. So I get a lot of interactions and a lot of engagement through all of my accounts all together. And I think having those statistics in the system helps people realize I'm not just a spam bot. I'm not just trying to game the system. I'm legitimately trying to build an audience.
Yep. Yeah. I'd really like to find a way. I might evaluate that. I'll do the math on it and figure 15 minutes a day for 50 followers. That might be worth it. They started a rate limit, Derick. This app that we use. When I first started, it was completely automated.
Right.
I let it go, and I just let it run. I had a virtual machine. It ran on a VM, and it ran and ran and ran and ran, and I didn't have to do anything. And then they killed that, and they locked my account right at the same time. So I didn't know. It freaked me out. And then you had to do it manually. And then they started rate limiting it. So you'd click follow, and it would be like error, boom. And then you have to click OK, and then you go follow, error. And so it's pretty painful now.
Yeah, I remember those rate limit days, but I mean, I can click on my phone, click, scroll, click, scroll, click, and never run into a rate limit. I run into the 2,000 following limit pretty quickly, because Twitter has a hard limit of you can only follow 2,000 people until you have a certain number of followers, and then there's a ratio that they won't divulge. And
well, I've heard it's about 10%. So once you get 2,000, you can follow whoever you are following plus 10%.
So that's why you got to unfollow people every day as well, and that's why the only reason why I use the TweetAdder is because it keeps track of who I followed but didn't follow me back in 3 days, and it gives them 3 days, and then I can get rid of them. So that's why I keep that. And I guess, I mean, to go meta here for a second, people are like, oh, these guys doing that Twitter crap, yeah, okay, but but you know what? But you got to you got to use whatever you. I mean, some people use Twitter for social interaction, and and I think we do as well. But
Oh yeah, totally.
also, you can't ignore this marketing tool. Like it
No.
doesn't make sense to say, oh, I'm just going to be only I'm never going to unfollow people on Twitter and
Right.
Right.
but yeah, that's fine. If it's just for fun for you for Twitter, sure. But we're trying to build an audience with Twitter, so you got to do it this way. If everyone else is doing this, you have to do this. So.
Yeah, so I don't know. I might be done with Twitter ads too, as much as I keep just because the babysitting.
Oh yeah.
I can't babysit something every day. If I could put together I had that one giveaway that ran pretty well for about 3 weeks. And if I could do something like that where I could write a few tweets, set it on autopilot for 2 or 3 weeks, and get a bunch of email subscribers for X number of dollars, that's worth it. But if it's John's right. I think that the fluctuating prices are always going to be an issue, and that's just not. I can't be checking a couple times a day to see how much I'm paying, and I blew through my $20 budget and I got 2 email signups.
You can set your bid price. I mean, I haven't experimented with that.
I've done that in the past, and they just don't show your ads, basically.
Well, I mean, if you figure out I don't know.
I might try that with my my promoted accounts as one last ditch effort. But if I could set that down to 20 cents, and they would honor. Well, they have to honor it, but what I've seen is that I'll get 3 impressions a day or something
Yeah,
they just don't show your ads.
They do show it, but you spend you don't get any significant impressions or engagements because
you'll get maybe if you get 10,000 impressions a day or something, that's for the promoted accounts, the levels are really low. It's less than 1% is actually pretty good.
Right.
Of a follow rate, so
it's a good headline testing tool.
Yes, yeah, I will continue to use it for that. It's very useful for that, and just testing ideas in general.
Yeah, I was dumping $20 a day into US and not getting. I mean, I got 2 email signups. Now my sales funnel is not perfect. I need to work on my landing page and stuff. But so I'm paused for now, and I'm going to wait until I get my sales funnel and autoresponders where I'm getting a decent conversion rate from my blog, and then I'll turn it on. Because I think if I have the machine working as good as possible, then even with the crappy traffic from Twitter, it'll be profitable. But right now, it's just a waste because so.
Yep. Yeah, I am still looking at Facebook though, because Facebook does seem to be. I'm not convinced that I can sell Sublime stuff on there, but Facebook does seem to be a little bit more straightforward in terms of what you pay for. What I would do with Facebook, hypothetically, if I were to use it, you can do a campaign for likes only. So you just push your thing into their feed and they like it. Well, you can also set that up to forward them. It's called a fan gate. You can forward them to an opt-in page from that.
From the like?
Yeah.
That would make sense.
So that you could probably get pretty good conversions from that. You can do it. I think you can do it pay per. You can do it either pay per. They have pay per click and pay per view options. The pay per view options are supposed to be pretty affordable. So I might experiment with that some, but I'm not super hopeful on the Sublime stuff because that's a professional. Facebook seems to be more goof off kind of things, hobbies and stuff tend to be better on Facebook from what I've seen. So.
Have you tried LinkedIn at all? I want to try LinkedIn because that would make the most sense.
I don't have to deal with SharePoint developers. Says the former SharePoint developer.
Yeah.
And I haven't tried LinkedIn yet. It might be worth experimenting with.
What'd you guys think of that email, my new autoresponder replacing? I mean, it's replacing the one that was basically my first launch email, which was my course is out and here's what it contains.
Okay. I thought it was really good. I wanted to go back and give you some more feedback on it. I haven't read the whole thing.
I haven't had a chance to read it at all. I've been packed up this week.
Yeah.
When you guys get a chance,
okay,
it'd be good to.
Yeah, yeah, I'll definitely give you feedback on it. There was one part I was at one point I was thinking you need to start the email here.
At the commoditization part,
I think that might have been it.
the
Yeah.
pain.
Yes. Yeah, I think that almost might have been a stronger place to start the email.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought about that. I wanted to address the skepticism first, though, because I felt like as soon as you had put your email address into that pop-up, that the immediate thing that you felt is skepticism. So I wanted to get that out on the table, like, and just out of the way, so that we could move on. But you might have a good point.
You could still do it in this first email, but just maybe experiment with moving it around different places. So.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to test that out and see how that converts and how that what the click rate is. I mean, basically, it's all click rate, right? Like that's the most important thing is like looking at the report. Like I can compare it to another autoresponder, and then look at the click rate and see if the click rate is higher, for people that have opened it, like the open versus open and click, So.
Right.
Which I think it will end up being. It has a higher percentage so far. I mean, I only have 7 opens and 4 clicks so far, but if it holds at that would be pretty good. That would mean that that's 57.1% per open. So that would mean that's effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still stressing out about getting the whole autoresponder sequence figured out, but that's such a frustrating thing. Like I feel like if I can just get my sales funnel set up right, I'm seriously thinking about paying that guy that I forgot his name again. The coaching, it's $1,000 a month, but he might be able to give me enough coaching to be worth it.
Who's this guy?
What is his name again? I just forgot.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that a while back.
He's the one who did that crazy egg blog post that about
yeah.
He seems really good.
Yeah, I would, if you're really stressed about it, I would totally go for something like that because $1,000 is nothing when you are selling a $300 product.
Yeah,
I mean seriously.
I spent $1,000 on my Backbone plugins book website. I paid Momoko $1,000. It was actually over $1,000 to work on that site for me, and that's a $25 product.
Yeah, John, people pay these guys people pay like $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 to have these guys put together autoresponder sequences for them. Yeah. So if you can get some guidance at that level.
Well, so
$1,000, that's a pretty good deal.
So he charges like $20,000, $30,000 to do your sales funnel for you, but he charges $1,000 a month to give you like an hour a month call, like a 1 hour call, and then email support telling you what to do. Like you have to do all the work, but he tells you exactly what to do.
Right.
So it probably would be worth it. The other thing I've been kind of trying to I haven't been able to focus totally on my sales funnel because I'm writing my book right now for the Manning book. I'm actually I'm chapter 6, so I'm writing like 2 chapters a day.
Nice.
So once I get that done, then I'll have more bandwidth. But so that's the other thing is why I haven't called him up yet. Well, there was 2 things in play. I wanted to get like my own thing in place first. Like take it as far as I knew I could get it, and then talk to him so they don't waste, have him tell me stuff I could already figure out on my own,
right?
And then to have the bandwidth, but
right. Well, having some, I mean, putting some thought into it's probably good up front, but you don't want to go too far down the path either and just have to throw it all out.
Yeah,
that's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Even if you've got, I would spend some time thinking about it. Get kind of put something together. Don't actually implement it.
Yeah.
Put together a plan.
Oh, I see.
Storyboard out all your emails and everything. This is how I'm going to do this, and even like maybe storyboard the emails too. Like here's what I would cover in each email. So outline them basically, so that you have something concrete for him to look at.
Yeah.
And then hire him. send him that, have him look at it, then you can probably get a ton of good feedback in that 1 hour call, because you're not starting from square one. He's already got something to respond to.
There's also the danger of him saying this is complete crap, you need to start over. But I don't know.
Which is fine. I mean, that's a great outcome, right? Because
true.
Right, because you haven't put the work into building it yet.
Yeah.
Even if I put the work into building it, I mean, if someone tells you, like, it's a hopeful outcome, because if you're like not selling what you want to, and someone says, well, this is total crap, right? This is just all wrong. That's a pretty good thing. If you're not selling what you want to sell, and someone says, oh, this looks pretty good to me, just a couple minor tweaks, then that sucks, right? That's what sucks. Then you're like, oh, well. Well, I don't know what to do. I'd rather work. If someone says, yeah, you've been digging a ditch the wrong direction, so you're gonna have to start over. It's gonna be a lot of work. I'm willing to break my back and put in the work. But if someone says, yeah, I don't know why you haven't hit water yet. That's weird. I guess keep digging.
Yeah.
You putting some time and effort into it first will also help him, because you've got your specific market. Your market. I'm skeptical. That's why. I mean, I'm sure it would be hard to come into this market, I think, not knowing anything about programming and be able to, talk effectively to programmers.
Yeah,
and that's the case in any market, but ours is a very technical market. And John, you remember we did, so we're doing this copy hour thing where we look at classic ads or successful ads every morning for us, and spend like an hour writing them out by hand, which is kind of insane. But that we did one last week that was for a golf. It was a golf product, and gosh, it was technical. It was very technical. Like they dove right into the very detailed descriptions of how this system worked. And you wouldn't know to do that if you didn't know the golf market. Those guys are they're very mechanical in their thinking, and they because it's very small things can make a huge difference with that. So
yeah. See, I kind of know what I need to do, which is like, well, I don't know, and I guess I kind of feel like I know what most professionals would do, which is basically have the stance of, I don't know what works. No one knows what works. The only thing you can do is test it and then put in good mechanisms to test it. They might have a better idea of what from the start, but I guess what I need to do is sign up for Visual Website Optimizer, so I have a good A/B testing tool platform, and then I need to A/B test my landing pages, constantly with that, as well as my every step of the way. My autoresponder sequence, I need to constantly be swapping those out and trying new. Start with a big sequence of like 20 emails and look at the worst click-through one and pull it out and then replace it and test that and see until you get. I mean, to me, it's like, yeah, that would take me to success, but maybe there's something else that I'm not thinking of.
Well, I mean, anybody can hit a golf ball in a hole, get enough strokes,
right?
But a professional can land the ball 2 feet from the cup off the tee,
where they want it.
And then
that's a good point.
Fine tuning. So with experience, you get a better idea of what works, and then you also know what to test, right? Because for you, looking at your sales page, wouldn't really know where to start. From what I've seen, like headline is number one, call to action is number two. Bullets. There's kind of a hierarchy of things that you'd want to test in a certain order. So just having some feedback, because otherwise there's a lot of things that won't make much difference. You can waste a lot of time testing stuff that doesn't really matter.
Well, my thought with A/B testing would be to test completely different versions of the page.
That's a terrible idea.
No. to start, right? Because you need something that does well to start with, right? Eventually when you find the winner, I like it. If I had all the time in the world, I'd create 5 completely different versions of a page. Just totally different. And then I would put those 5 up against each other and then run that test and see which one of those 5 does the best. And then do another 5 tests and then put the 2 winners of those up against each other. And then once I had that ultimate winner, and it would have to be a clear winner, like this is like 100% better than everything else. then start tweaking that thing. Okay, what if I change the headline here, and then...
Well, okay, but see the headline, do you remember, so in scientific advertising, one of the things he said is that a headline, like just changing the headline, can be like cause like 1,000% difference in the response. Like it's huge.
Oh, I
like
see,
that
yeah.
is, you know what I mean? Like so if you have to test anything, you start there, you know, because you can slap a different headline. You can slap almost any headline on the same page. So you can try a bunch of different headlines, and that's going to get you. That might get you. You know, some people say the headline's 80% of the battle.
Yeah, I read a story about somebody who took that to an extreme, and they changed the stated title of their giveaway book. And for
I
different
saw
landing
that.
pages, say, so my book is called XYZ, and here you can sign up here and get it for free. And they changed, they flat out lied when it comes down to it. They said, my book is called, you know, the most awesome thing about foo, or my book is called
Right.
John Doe does bar, just completely different names that were related to the subject matter in the book, but not what the book was called at all. He didn't change the book cover, it didn't actually change the book title, changed the stated title on the landing page, and figured out which of those converted best just by changing the book title on that landing page. Sent the person the same book, didn't matter which of those pages you signed up from, sent them the same book, and used that to figure out what the book was actually supposed to be called, and then eventually changed the name of the book.
Yeah,
Gary
I saw that.
has a story about a guy who's basically made himself a millionaire in the early 1900s by taking books that weren't selling, changing the titles, and selling them under a different title, and you know, they exploded.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe the headline is
that's why I think running Twitter ads is still a valuable tool. I don't think Twitter ads make sales at this point. I'm
or even really do that well converting emails.
Yeah, because I previously thought I was selling 20 books a week off of Twitter ads. Well, I sold 17 books this week, and I stopped my Twitter ads like a month ago. And so I think Twitter ads still provide value for us in being able to test headlines. I had 3.5% conversion rate or engagement rate on some of those headlines that I ran through for my Watch Me Code ads at headline tests. I mean, that's phenomenal. That's a huge engagement rate. So I'm running those headlines as my ads now, and it's.
Yeah, I mean, with the Twitter too, but see, the problem that you had before too was you didn't put that little tracking code from Twitter to measure the conversion. You got it. That's we all have to get better at.
I tried to get it to work, and I actually tried it. I spent an hour trying to get that stupid tracking code from Twitter into my site, and it wouldn't work. It never once told me that there was any tracking data. It said, still waiting for tracking data. Just constantly. Even when I open up Chrome in incognito mode, click on the link from a Twitter ad, and it just did not show me anything. Ever.
Yeah, I agree, though. We all need to get way better about tracking. And I'm frankly at a loss as to how to get some of it to work.
Right.
But yeah, I really would like to be able to track, especially for me, from my email list to buyers. I would really like to be able to track that.
Yeah, because you got to know all the way. I mean, you got to be able to trace it back from when someone who purchased, where did they, at what point did they buy, like what email or what thing caused them to buy, where did they click before then, and then all the way back to up the stream of where did they come in from? Did they follow you on Twitter and then they eventually converted over to the newsletter and then bought, or was it like, and how did you even get them to follow you on Twitter? Was it through an ad? Was it through this particular tweet? What was the thing? So you know, like, what are the, because otherwise you don't know.
To give you guys some perspective on this problem, when I worked for Telerik, we spent several $100,000 just on the software and hardware to set up the ability to track all this kind of stuff. And that was just the raw cost, not the human cost and time cost to get it all set up and integrated. This is a solved problem. It is not a solved problem for little guys like us.
Right.
It is a problem that has been solved for enterprises, and we're going to be a few years down the road before this solution is affordable for people like us.
Yeah.
But I know exactly which piece of software I want to tell you guys to use if you're willing to spend several $100,000. Because it's a phenomenal piece of software. It revolutionized how we tracked and marketed at Derick. It was amazing. Nice.
Built by the NSA.
Yeah, exactly.
You can borrow their systems.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. What I'm trying to do is just sort of stand back from the data that I have and like look for patterns. Kind of just blur your eyes at it and watch your sales when you send an email and that sort of thing.
Right.
Try to gauge how. I wish that I had something better, but I don't.
All right, guys, we gotta definitely next week we gotta do something with the podcast recorder, or we gotta start giving people.
Oh yeah, I know we keep saying that. Yeah. Hey, one last thing. Hit watchmecode.net/webtoolsweekly. I've been surreptitiously editing this in the background while we've been talking here, and I want to see what you guys think of this landing page. This is the landing page.
Web Tools Weekly?
Yeah, Web Tools Weekly, all one word.
What a tool.
What a tool. That's their logo.
I see.
So I added the images and the free video and the register now down at the bottom. So I'm trying to make this an all-in-one, all-encompassing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is a good idea or if I should send people to the website so that they can look at videos.
No, I think a squeeze page like this is really good. This is excellent.
Okay.
This gives you one decision to make.
Right.
Really, I mean.
Yeah.
And that toward the top, the get instant access to all episodes. When you click that button, it just scrolls you to the bottom of the page.
Nice. Yes. Yeah. No, I think this is great.
And I'm giving them a free video too.
By the way, is this an actual template or is this
Yeah, this is the landing page template that came with the theme
Genesis.
that I bought from
Nice.
for Genesis.
Okay. Yeah, this is gorgeous. I really like this.
Okay,
it's
cool.
nice and narrow. Like it does everything right. Like it's nice and narrow. There's no navigation.
Yeah.
It reads really nicely. There's a lot of contrast.
Right.
It's a very pleasant reading experience. This looks really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna update my other sponsorship pages to look like this as well, because they're all using this layout, but I just added these images and the free video to this page right now. I'm gonna provide a different free video for each of the pages, I think.
Nice. Yep. No, this is great. This one I told you to make sure that you got a landing page template. That's pretty much what I had in mind. So that looks
I bought this theme not knowing it had a landing page template, and when I went and looked, I was like, oh, awesome.
Are you in control of the register new account section?
No, I'm not. Well, to a certain extent, I am. I can change CSS and whatnot, but is the
You might just throw a little bit of PHP in there to make it so that the discount code only shows up, or wait a minute. Oh, but they'll always have a discount code for this.
Yeah, for the sponsorship pages.
Okay.
Right. I could hide the discount code on the normal sign-up page.
Yeah, I mean, you can just make it so that when on the normal sign-up page, like just make it so that if there's a URL that a special URL or something added onto the URL that makes a discount code box appear or pre-populate or whatever.
That's not a bad idea. I should think about doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want the discount code box showing on the landing page because I'm advertising a discount code for my sponsorships.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. Yeah.
No, that looks really good.
All right, cool. So far, this page has converted at a 4.5% subscriber.
That's great.
I've only had 89 clicks from that ad, but I've had 4 subscribers.
That's really good.
So,
yeah.
Traffic.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get more people clicking through that ad on WebTools Weekly. I'm going to promote the crap out of WebTools Weekly as soon as that issue hits their archives page.
Cool.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you next week. See ya.
Yep.
Alrighty. See ya.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derick as we figure it out. We are the Entreprogrammers, and we'll teach you straight